Spice up your life. From around the world, 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news wire. I'm Lydiah Obaga. A leadership crisis continues to rage in the Kenyan Nurses Union, with Secretary General Seth Panyako accused of poor leadership. Members have now vowed to withdraw from NUN and join the Public Employees Union.
Panyako tare! Bye-bye Panyako! Panyako tare! Bye-bye Panyako! From today we are saying bye-bye to Panyako.
I think members of press you've heard, nurses in this country have heard, the whole world has heard that we are quitting KNUN to UKCS.
It is a very painful decision for us because that was our union. We were the one who formed it, not Panyako.
This is not the first time nurses have threatened to leave the union, as earlier this year they accused Panyako of promoting his own interests instead of those of members. This comes as nurses in Makueni have given 7 days notice for their grievances to be addressed, or they'll go on strike.
But they are not being paid. Actually, they used to be underpaid. Yet we agreed to work. Yet they are not paid. Our governor promised us that this money is going to be paid. They are paying merchants, they are paying suppliers, they are paying everybody else, but the nurses are not being paid their ROCAMs.
The government has recalled all police officers on leave back to their working stations with immediate effect as part of measures to ensure security and safety during the festive season. Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo said that the team, that is the multi-agency team comprising of the National Police Service, the Kenya Defence Forces, the Kenya Prison Services and the Kenya Wildlife Service, has been put in place to coordinate security operations during the festive season.
This season is a time that is marked by increased travel, celebrations in places of worship, social gatherings in shopping malls and recreational spaces, outdoor entertainment events, and heightened local and international tourism activities. Our analysis highlights the following trends which require vigilance from the public. One are petty offences, which includes pickpocketing and muggings in crowded areas such as in malls, markets, public transport, terminal, becoming easy points for criminal.
Education Cabinet Secretary Muga has issued a stern warning to those who are grabbing land belonging to educational institutions in the country. Speaking at Kakamega Primary School after opening 12 classrooms that are intended to be used by grade 9 students next year, Ogambe deplored the behaviour of some landlords who are encroaching on school lands.
A total of 10,317 officers have been deployed.
He has urged all education directors to ensure that every land owned by educational institutions obtains land ownership certificates to prevent such incidents.
The last ruling was done in Kisumu in May, where the Court of Appeal ruled that this land belongs to Kakamega Primary and Junior School. Unfortunately, the private developer has moved to the Supreme Court to raise a case. Kindly assist us so that we can acquire the title deeds for this school.
So it is our responsibility, and I'm encouraging all our education directors in all the counties in the country to undertake an audit to ensure that each and every institution, the land is protected and we get the title deeds for it. Where they are not, we'll work with the Ministry of Lands to ensure that all our institutions, not just educational institutions, but all our government institutions get their titles so that we can protect our land for the future.
And finally, President William Ruto has congratulated Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, who has been elected as the 5th president of Namibia. President-elect Nandi Ndaitwah was voted in as Namibia's first female president and 5th president. The Electoral Commission said she had won more than 57% of the vote, with her closest rival, Panduleni Itula, getting 26%. The president congratulated her, saying her election is a powerful reminder that no one is limited to achieving high political seats. That's the news wire. I'm Lydiah Obaga.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside. Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No. It's about shipping up. You're my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they'd been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
Hapo.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Heri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
The baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys wenye walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanyan.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes?
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the security, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning and welcome to Thursday. Let's take a quick look at what's happening on these streets this morning as we get into it proper. There's a little bit of traffic that started to build, and this is on the Thika Superhighway, but I don't think we're going to have too much in terms of drama, at least not for now. A little bit of that movement getting towards Sigei, and if we look at the Eastern Bypass, we will see that build up as well. A quick look into the city in terms of what happens right now, right around Haile Selassie. We already know that's going to be busy. Haile Selassie then getting towards the junction with Ngong Road, and then trying to find your way onto Huru Highway is going to be busy this morning. We know that construction continues, at least for now. But apart from that, no one's, well, if they're up, they're already where they're going, and streets are moving really well. Let's see what happens as we get into Thursday proper, and we'll talk SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, here we are. How you doing today? Wait, let me arrange myself. CT, good morning.
Morning, Ndu.
How are you?
Fine, thank you, Ndu.
You're sour?
Very well, thank you, Ndu.
Okay, we're putting Ndu after everything?
Yes, Ndu.
Okay. How was your day yesterday?
Fine, thank you, Ndu.
What did you do? I want to know. You didn't expect that, did you?
No, I didn't, because when you asked me what I did, I have to pause and think.
When you left, like now, when I left you yesterday at a few, like 10:30, 10:40.
I went for very many meetings.
You did roundy?
Yes, the usual round. Meeting.
Alafu?
And then more meetings. Then there's a relative who I asked to come and see me. He came because I figured I wasn't going to be able to go to town, so he came. We had lunch, chit-chatted, continued my meetings. Left here at about 3.
Okay. Yes. Did these meetings bear any fruit?
Every meeting I attended, the fruit is aspirational, is in the future.
Okay. So at some point we'll be eating fruit.
At some point you may even have a fruit tree.
An orchard even.
Yeah, that's what it is called, orchard.
We bless the name of the Lord.
Amina. So and how was your day?
Where? Me?
You?
I took 6 11-year-old boys, and it's something I have told I will never.
2 6-year-old boys?
No. 6 11-year-old boys.
6, one is 6, one is 11.
No. They're all 11, and there were 6 of them.
Oh, hey.
Exactly.
Wait.
Exactly.
What led you to make this decision?
I do not know. Benevolence is something
one
that
of them
they are
is
climbing.
One of them is clearly your son.
One of them belongs to me, and he has friends, and then they spawn. Hey, God.
My friend, the activity at that age, they're active.
What?
High
and they're
octane.
hungry.
Oh no! That one, they're not hungry.
They're ravenous.
No, they're not ravenous.
Where?
They define food and the consumption of it.
My day ended, and I had to look at myself properly and ask myself, why? But at the end of the day, it was okay, I guess. Energy.
But you can see where the food goes, huh?
Yes, you can.
It is burnt.
It is burnt very fast.
Yes, that lot, at that age.
It was crazy, but it was all sorts of fun.
6 11-year-olds.
Yes.
Those are many. Even 2 is many.
1 is many. But okay. So good to be here again this morning. So there's the weather. The weather is here, right? And then under the weather is Eric Latiff. You understand?
Yes.
So the weather is there, then under the weather is Eric Latiff today. So usijali.
Hali si hali.
Tunashikilia.
Eric wepo na haraka.
Wewe usijali.
Kiswahili wanasema, kwa Kiswahili tunasema ugua pole.
Ugua.
Yes, get well soon.
Okay.
Yes, even if it's just fatigue, brother, that is illness, you recover quickly.
You'll be all right.
Yes, you shall be fine.
In the meantime, we'll have a couple of conversations this morning. At 7 o'clock, guys, this is what we are going to do. We're going to talk with you. The education, dilemma, palaver, I don't know what to call it, but there's an issue with education. We'd like to hear from you guys today at 7, and we're going to talk to a couple of experts. We're going to do that on the phone. We're just going to look at, today is the 5th of December. In another 1 month and 1 day, schools will open, and there's just too many things happening at the same time. So we're going to have a conversation, because when conversations happen, 2 things happen. We keep talking about it, or something is done about it. We hope that both of those things happen, and that those who are in positions of decision making and implementation will actually kind of get their ducks in a row, because it's not funny. So we're going to have that conversation with you at 7 o'clock. Then at 8 a.m., Professor Kivutha Kibwana, you remember him? Yep. Former governor of Makueni County, as well as an academic. He's going to be here, and we're going to be talking about...
Former minister.
A former minister, exactly, as well.
He's been he has held very ministerial positions.
He's been around the block, indeed.
And then some, yes.
We're going to be talking about youth and politics. What does the future hold for leadership? There have been calls and saying, we need a new brand of leadership. We need a new injection of people. And what does that look like? What should it look like? We've had people who want to come and take the mantle, but then already in a very short time been swallowed up by the status quo. So what is it going to take to get a new brand of leadership in Kenya? And then we're going to round up those conversations today with the CEO at the Athi Water Works Development Agency, water supply and demand management for this area, for Kenya. Not enough people have access to water in the manner in which they should. We'll have that conversation today with engineer Joseph Kamau. So that's what our conversations look like this morning. Thank you already for joining us. As we get into that, let's talk together and see on Kenya's biggest conversation this morning. It is 18 minutes after 6 o'clock. Let's take a quick look at the weather. CT will tell us what the skies look like, and then we will come back and say hello to you and get into things proper this morning. Good morning, everybody. Karibu.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Well, Nairobi is cold, but not that cold. It's 16 degrees Celsius. It's going to be mostly cloudy today. And if you look at Kakamega, Kenya, well, same 16 degrees and Celsius, and it is mostly clear, no clouds. Mvita, partly sunny at 26 degrees. Kampala, 17 degrees. Cloudy. New York, 4 degrees. In short, New York is getting warmer. At some point, it was at -1 degrees Celsius yesterday. Tonight, it's 4. Nyeri town, 12 degrees, partly cloudy. Lagos, 26 degrees. That is warm, partly cloudy. Johannesburg, 21 degrees, partly sunny. Kinshasa, Congo, 22 degrees. I was about to say 22nd. 22 degrees Celsius, cloudy. London, United Kingdom, 10 degrees, light rain, getting warmer as well. Nakuru town, 13 degrees. This is cold, partly cloudy. Mogadishu, 24 degrees. It's still early morning. Lugari, Kenya is cold at 9 degrees Celsius. It's partly cloudy. Dongcheng district, 8 degrees Celsius. Kisumu town, 19 degrees, partly cloudy. Addis Ababa, 9 degrees. And it's clear. Dar es Salaam, 25 degrees, that's warm, partly sunny. Paris, 5 degrees, again getting warmer. Malindi, 27 degrees, and mostly cloudy. That's the weather as we see it today. You have yourself a lovely day.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, thank you. You know, that's the 10th time you've asked me how I'm doing today.
Okay, so I'm asking everybody.
All right, everybody in has asked you.
Okay, so getting into it this morning saying hello to everybody. Lydia, I'm sorry. I had to apologize to Lydia because I did something there. I won't do it again. Sawa. Okay, so everybody's online this morning. Really quick already. Duncan Monari, we see you. How are you? Welcome into the room this morning. Don Sabwa says, Mademoni, back on the political podium. Mademoni, what is that?
I have no idea, but I'm sure if we asked him, he'd be able to explain to us and tell us what he means.
Okay, Don Sabwa, perhaps you can tell us what Mademoni is. We don't understand. Desmond Oti says, good morning, Spice. Joho and Junette have nowadays 10 hot. Anyway, my question is Arsenal a team to beat someone 2-0 surely? Yes, it was Super Wednesday yesterday. Everybody and their uncle in the Premier League was playing last night, and there was some, results that maybe some people were not very happy with, but okay. Jimmy Gakio says, good morning, Team Spice. Good morning, Team Spice. A cold morning in Kigali. Good morning, Michael. Geraldino Cheng says, good morning, Semeni Iwatoke. Ninio. Gilbert Kimuge says, good morning, Spice. Watching from Tempera in Finland. Mimi napenda ndu. Wacha tu niseme initoke. Sawa basi.
Anasema na imetoka.
Very good. Well done. Manny L says good. Musi L, sorry, says good Morton, Kenya. Eliana Yabesh also says good morning. Rose Grace tuned in from Tamu. Good morning, Team Kubwa. Continue doing amazing work. Thank you so much every morning for tuning in. Duncan Monari says, good morning, Team Spice. Wishing you all a blessed day. Thank you. Linus Gitonga, we see you. Robert Mbogo is also here. Cyprian Kambuni, Eda Tatu. Angeline Nyongesa has locked it and says, Sitoki. Good morning, Spice, listening from Rongo. Dominic Abuka, we see you as well. Good morning. Bob Ulela. John Mwangi. Vincent Disho says, good morning from a chilly Balochistan. Looking forward to a warm... You didn't put the I. Balochistan.
It's Balochistan.
All right. Raphael Kige, Team Spice, Guan Radio. Today I choose to remain silent. Okay, my prince. Jeremiah Wanjala, good morning and welcome back. Where did you go? Good to have you back in the room this morning. Leo, good morning. Princess Ndu, good morning. Good to have you here as well. Okay. Yes. Impeachment things. Good morning. I hope there's no plan to kill devolved units. National government is unable to send money down to the counties. Mr. Mbali, you're right. Things are happening. It doesn't look good at all.
They need a referendum and they need all manner of things to kill the devolved units.
Yeah.
It's not one of these things that someone makes a roadside declaration, then voila, as you would say,
gone.
it's done. Nah.
You can starve them of cash, but that's very, very long way from ruining the system of devolution. Nick Bala says, good morning. My neighbor moved with It's funny. He said his neighbor and his wife moved. So now he doesn't have internet.
I don't understand.
He needs to get it.
I don't understand.
So obviously, he used to tap into his neighbor's internet to get into the Wi-Fi. So now they moved. So now he can't do that anymore.
So where does the wife come into this conversation?
Well, he just had to let you know that his neighbor and his wife and his child moved. Don't read anything else into it beyond the fact that he doesn't have Wi-Fi anymore. I beg you not to read anything else into it.
Okay, fine. How old was this child?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, because maybe the child moved to go to school.
It's possible.
Yes.
But the thrust of this story here is that now Nick doesn't have Wi-Fi anymore because he used to tap into his neighbor's Wi-Fi.
That's a hell of a lot of information he's given us.
I know. In order to get to the Wi-Fi, he was diversionary, I think, in his approach.
Anyway, let's leave it at that. Wi-Fi gone. Okay.
Colin says, good morning. Guess who joined the praise and worship team, the Kasongo praise and worship team? Junette and the majority leader of the supposed opposition. I know everything is just looking really interesting as we go. Farjala says, good morning, watching from 001. Karibu. Iregiwa Johi, we see you. Good morning. Sham Punje says, good morning from Kitale. You're a great team. Thank you so much. Most of Nairobi kids cannot say the word kusalimiwa. They say kusalimiwo. Okay.
We keep learning, huh?
Yeah, every day I'm telling you. Sandra Sheria says, good morning from Costa Rica. Omwene Bokenge Nimolola says, good morning. Why do my brothers and sisters here in the USA call me Igbo? because my last name is Okechi, because Okechi is a Nigerian name as well, and I know that there are some names that would sound like the same. Okechi means God's time, so maybe that's why they call you that, because it's a Nigerian name as well. Okay, that should make sense. Yes. Okay. You don't look like a mother of 11-year-old boy. Sindio? Okay. Where is Latiff? Latiff, the weather is here. Latiff is here. You understand? You understand? Good morning. CT wants to know the age of that child. Yes, he does. Good morning. Watching from Kansas City. Sylvester Kengo is also tuned in. Emily Mudhoni is here as well. Colchester, Essex in the UK is where Omar is. And we see all of you this morning. And I keep saying we don't take it for granted that you join us every morning. Log into the conversations as we do today. And let's get into it. All right. We are in
the People's Republic of Mozambique. These fellows have really lovely proverbs. Oh, yes. There was one which I mentioned on Monday, but then I gave you a choice and you chose one. So let me go back to it. Okay?
Okay.
A reflection cannot see itself.
There has to be something else.
For a reflection to exist.
Yes. For a reflection to exist, there must be an image.
There has to be.
Yeah.
Yes, but it can't be a reflection on its own.
Exactly.
There's no solo reflection.
It's reflecting something.
It is always reflecting something. There has to be something first.
So that thing that they tell us about bad leadership and how they misbehave, is it a reflection of society? If you see something, it started somewhere.
It has a genesis, and when it comes to what you call, I would call it endemic behavior, it's something that is societal, and what you then see by the time you're kicking a big fuss about it, it's become so commonplace, it has been accepted. It's considered the norm, and people speak about it as something that is not strange, which means they have accepted it.
It's as part of?
It's been accepted.
There you go.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see what people say about that today. Okay, shall we look at the headlines? Because they're interesting. Ruto's angry tone and new megaphones. The megaphones that are being referred to, rather, are people. It's hard being President Ruto. Pushed to a corner by those opposed to his government's projects, his tone has been changing from a persuasive one aimed at mollifying his critics to open rebuke, as he did on Tuesday. But he now also has new allies who have changed their colors to become fiery defenders and amplifiers of his messages. The first one, Ali Hassan Joho, the mining and blue economy CS. There are people at this very moment. We are here, they are online. Mr. President, a country cannot be built online. It cannot be developed by people whose work is social media. I'm giving them notice. We also have mouths. If they poke us, we will respond. Where? Then, Junet Mohammed, who is the minority leader in the National Assembly, said the government is elected, so it works for its citizens, but the government is being sanctioned because it has to ask for permission from Kenyans, civil society, judiciary, parliament, and religious organizations. When will the government work? We're going to look into that story, but letting you know that that's what's in the headline.
Well, let me tell you this. If you wanted to understand how democracy and all the tenets therein work within Kenya, you've got a front row seat here.
I'm telling you.
This freedom we speak of, it's for everybody. Political leaders, people who are in government, ordinary citizens who are not in government and are not political leaders. Everybody has a voice.
Indeed, you can say what you want when you want.
Yes, and remember, with everything you say, you are setting in motion something. So be aware.
Well, we'll see details of that story.
Yes.
Death and destruction as floods wreak havoc. Multiple families across 20 counties staring at pain and huge losses. Perhaps that's what the government ought to be doing. As floods rage, risking lives, displacing thousands and destroying farmland in Nyanza, Western and parts of the Rift Valley.
The previous floods destroyed lands that haven't been catered for, and neither have they been rehabilitated. People who are displaced, very many are still displaced. Schools that had closed are still closed. And now you have piled on the pressure and you've piled on trouble upon trouble. Right. Yep. And how exactly does all this talking prevent the government from doing what it's supposed to do with regards to these things?
C'est la question, no?
Yes.
That's it. What What are we doing?
That one has to speak French to understand it. Oui, then you have said n'est-ce pas, and then
It's necessary.
Yeah.
The festive season is here. Why you should be vigilant? We'll look at that. Schools told, look, you can say what you want. Whisper in the corners, whisper behind the tent. Be safe. You must meet safety rules or else. That's what they've been told. Namibia gets first woman president. The south of the continent is not doing too badly. You know, if you want to look at Comesa, SADC, not doing too bad with women leadership.
No,
not at all.
That is what you call full utilization of available human resource.
I'm telling you, Tanzania going south.
Yes,
I think
they've figured it out.
Done it. They've been able to-
They've understood this thing.
Let's make a change.
If these individuals can look after families,
surely,
on a daily basis, against all odds,
with all the intrigues
surely
and the mechanisms,
a country,
why not?
Just expanding the family kidogo. Why can't they look after it?
In the west, moving north and going west, it's only Ellen Johnson Sirleaf that we've seen.
Yes.
But the south seemed to be Joyce Banda, now Namibia, Samia Suluhu over here, you know.
And then you will find they are vocal.
Yes.
Even if they are not the premier position holders, but those in positions of authority are vocal and they speak with clarity.
Yep.
So you understand exactly where they're coming from.
Okay. Tanzanian firm is on track to buy Bamburi. That should be fun. In The Nation, Shah equipment plan cartel-like, says House team. Senators have questioned the legality of multi-billion shilling contracts signed between counties and the national government for lease of medical equipment amid revelations that governors had no choice and were kept in the dark regarding details of the agreements, including the identity of suppliers.
So why then did they sign the agreements if all these things are true? I mean, who's fooling who here? It's being questioned. Are we saying that all these things happen in the dark? And that only when this agreement was inked, and then all of a sudden, then is when you knew that this is what had happened.
Yes.
Come on, man.
That's what they're saying, essentially.
It doesn't matter what you say here. Everything here reeks of something fairly awful.
Indeed. Lawmakers now want order on schools closure lifted because they're saying it's going to cause more harm than it will cause good. Okay. A varsity student death at hostel left 4 suicide notes. Unfortunately, a student at the United States International University committed suicide in one of the off-campus residence,
yes,
and left 4 suicide notes, essentially detailing the suffering that he'd gone through, and talked about family trauma and things like that. We'll look at the details. MPs plan to reverse regulations seeking to raise ID card fees. And so it's the National Assembly on the back page of The Nation that says, we want the closure of 348 schools reversed, or boarding wings rather, reversed. Quickly on the business, electricity consumers face new levy for street lighting. Good grief. MPs shield Safaricom's Lipa Mdogo from CBK control. Okay. Buy now, pay later, shoppers triple. Private sector deals rise to 6-month high, and saving drop for the first time in 15 years. Things are not looking too good. Over to you, CT. Then I'll do my Swahili thing.
Yes. The Star, top right-hand corner in Till Green, Odhiambo guilty of murdering LGBTQ activist Chiloba. That's what the court has declared. Now, this story in its totality is on page 3. Okay? Agencies' failure to collaborate is affecting services. Let me explain in a line or two what I am talking about. Most independent and constitutional commissions are misinterpreting their independence to mean not cooperating with other state agencies, hence undermining the overall agenda of the government, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has said. We'll look into this in greater detail. 3.5 billion penalty. Now, this is just a reminder as to which country you are in. We are in Kenya. So let me read this again.
Okay.
SGR loan default puts railway on the spot audit. Kenya Railway was slapped with a 3.5 billion Kenya shilling penalty for defaulting on loans borrowed for the construction of the standard gauge railway. So it's the railway who borrowed it. You know this story? Yeah. It is as circumlocucious as it gets.
What?
Government borrowed. Now railway has borrowed.
From whom?
Government.
Who's the loan owed to?
Let me just explain this. The penalties were from unpaid and accrued SGR loan penalty obligations relating to China Exim Bank loan.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So China Exim Bank lent Kenya Railway the money to build Kenya Railway.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as SGR Railway.
Yes.
Okay. So did the government borrow the money on behalf of the railway, or did the railway borrow the money on behalf of the government?
Is the railway not government?
The Kenya Railway is...
It's government now.
I'm not sure.
Is it privatized?
Let me say again, I am not sure.
Okay. It just sounds...
If it is a parastatal, then it's government.
Circumlocucious is the word that you use.
Yes.
I think so.
And around and around and around they went, and around and around and around and around. All right, bang in the middle of the paper. Change roles. Kenya Kwanza appointees quietly recede to the background. Orange men take the bullets as Team Ruto goes missing. Once staunch critics of the president are now mouthpieces. Surely, are people not allowed to change their minds? Can you not say this tomorrow and then oppose the very same thing tomorrow? I mean, the following day. I mean, surely. What do you think freedom means?
Surely, you can be at the far end of the room and say that you're not going to leave that space.
Yes.
No matter what.
It doesn't matter. Even if they chain you and drag you.
I will not leave.
Yes.
You can flip over the next morning and say, you know what? Who said?
I said. Of course I said. That was yesterday.
But that was yesterday. Today is today.
Today I'm saying I am here. Yes. Is there a problem with
Is it not my mouth?
Yes.
Is it not my body?
Is it on my body that has moved?
Come on.
Or did I look for someone else's body to move?
See, it's my body that I moved.
Yes. And my mouth. It's my mouth which said the other time that Ruto was
And now it's my mouth.
Now it's my mouth which is saying Ruto is
exactly.
Surely.
Did I borrow your mouth to say it? No. I used my own mouth to say it.
Do you think that the constitution and the freedoms therein don't apply to me as a citizen? I'm simply applying my freedom. So please stop saying things which, are not things.
Leave alone that now I'm a CS. That has nothing to do with anything.
Being CS, I'm serving the citizens of the country.
Olimma.
That's what I'm doing. And if I'm a member of parliament, that's what I'm doing.
It's very good.
I'm serving the people. Please understand. Pause, take a deep breath and understand.
Thanks.
Yes, okay? Right. The cheese moved. And if you don't know what cheese is, did you look at the Business Daily?
Yes, but you can look at details of it. I want to tell you the paper in Swahili.
That should be interesting.
Excuse me, please. You will tell me now what they're saying. Serikali ilitukaba shingo. Magavana ndio wanasema hivyo.
The governors...
Ilitukaba.
The throttling us.
Okay. Je, sahihi ni mtazamo finyu au mtazamo ufinyu? Sahihi ni mtazamo finyu au mtazamo mfinyu? Okay, so you'll have to read it because perhaps I've butchered it completely.
No, yeah. So these freedoms are vast. No, just carry on.
Even these ones can be free.
Carry on.
Is it not my mouth that's speaking the Kiswahili?
Exactly.
Okay. Sasa waweza kukodisha Uhuru Park. Serikali ya Sakaja yaindihinisha mpango wa kukodi sehemu za bustani.
Bustani is a garden. Yes. Now, which garden are they speaking of?
This one, that Uhuru Park.
Yes, Uhuru
Park.
Okay.
So essentially now they'll be doing private functions there.
But you know something? They have been doing private functions. I mean, what are they saying about it? It's not that they haven't done it, they have. So
but now they're putting it in law, so you can actually say that you will close it off to the public one day because you've rented it out to a private entity to do whatever they need to do.
That is tricky.
But now they've got the law on their side.
But they can't do that to the whole park. I mean, they can try, but they shouldn't.
They shouldn't.
Because even then, they still keep eating into the park.
Public green spaces, I think, are important.
You know when you say public green spaces, you know what came to my mind? Public greed spaces.
Unfortunately, the two can be interchangeable at this point.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking, because it doesn't seem right. I don't understand how it is you can't hold a private function and yet at the same time let the public enjoy it. That park is not small.
It isn't.
Yes.
I don't know. It just seems weird. How about we take a look at traffic? You tell people what's on the road.
I will tell people what's on the road.
Then we can come back and continue looking into some of these stories in detail.
That we can do.
Abby?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Well, now it is 6:39. 6:39 in the morning in Nairobi. There isn't really much traffic to speak of, but it is beginning to build up, and it will be building up, and before you know it, as they say in Kiswahili, punde si punde. In English, before punde becomes punde, you will have a situation where there's traffic everywhere. But for now, the usual suspect, meaning the usual roads where you're likely to see traffic, there isn't much of it. And you cannot talk about a clog up. All you can talk about is traffic building up. Whether you talk about thicker highway, as in thicker super highway, whether you talk about Jogo Road, whether you talk about Landis Road, whether you talk about Bayaki Way, you talk about Mombasa Road, Southern Bypass, Eastern Bypass. If I choose your favorite road, as of now, there isn't much traffic, but that is going to change drastically within the hour. So be careful as you drive and continue having yourself a lovely day.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
Let me tell you one of these stories. It's on the front. It's the headline in the Standard today, and this one that we're talking about, having changed sides so quickly. It's hard being President Ruto, pushed to the corner by those opposed to his government projects. His tone has been changing from a persuasive one aimed at mollifying his critics to open rebuke, as he did on Tuesday. But now he has new allies who said, you know what, this trumpet, bring it. We shall blow it for you proper. They've changed their colors to become fiery defenders and amplifiers of his messages. This story is on page 4 of the Standard today. And it goes thusly. His change of tone and fresh ODM guns, quick to shoot from the hip. President William Ruto's evil spirit remarks against his critics and a threat from mining CS Hassan Joho could be an indication of a new Kenya Kwanzaa strategy to confront growing criticism. The head of state Tuesday condemned those opposed to his projects, equating the criticism to haunts of evil spirits. Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony for the Devki iron processing project in Taita Taveta, Ruto questioned why Kenyans were elated when he cancelled the Adani JKIA deal, and yet they complain about the poor infrastructure of East Africa's busiest airport. So on one hand, you said, yay, these guys are going. On the other hand, you keep complaining that we are not doing enough in terms of infrastructure. How? He went on in a phrase, I don't think I'm going to butcher Kiswahili anymore this morning, but he said, Kenyans, please, there is an evil spirit of opposition. Everything that is hovering around the country, an industry like this one, affordable housing, livestock vaccinations, university reforms, health, this is an evil spirit. He says it's an evil spirit. Everything, you're complaining about everything. It has reached to a point that they are refusing church offerings. What is this, surely? An evil spirit of rejecting everything. So this rejection of everything that comes from government, the only thing it can be is an evil spirit. Ruto was not alone. It appears that Raila Odinga, who joined the cabinet... Sorry. I'm sorry. It was a Freudian slip. It was intentional. It appears that the Raila Odinga men who joined the cabinet following a forced reshuffle are shaping up to be the president's new guns. Whether they're for hire or not, that is up to you. Joho expressed outrage, vowing to take action against social media users who are using the internet to vilify Ruto's administration. He went on to say, how can a Kenyan who does not know anything post on social media that Raila Odinga must fall on his quest for African Union Commission chairmanship? How unpatriotic can you be as Kenyans that even one of your own who has a chance to lead, you're saying they must fall? We will come for you, my friend. Joho's remarks received condemnation from social media and leaders, including ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna. He said yesterday, the Nairobi senator, "We Senate shall summon the CS when we resume from the recess to explain why he was threatening Kenyans. The problem is that Joho has forgotten that he's no longer a politician. He's no longer a governor, but a cabinet secretary whose sentiments are taken extremely seriously." Busia Senator Okoh Mtata posted on his X account, "Hassan Joho, you can't run this country like a cartel. We have a constitution in which the freedom of speech is enshrined. Threatening to come for Kenyans speaking their truth is unpatriotic. Will you come for all Kenyans? And take them where?" Lawyer Donald Kipkorir also expressed his displeasure at the ODM party, which had its members appointed to government after countrywide protests and forced Ruto to restructure his cabinet. And he said, I quote, "Sheer arrogance, hubris and sycophancy of ODM ministers and MPs against perceived enemies of the broad-based government is proof that in electing William Ruto, Kenyans dodged a bullet." Yeah? Someone told ODM ministers in Kenya Kwanza government that we all know their excitement will end in tears. History is replete with what happens to politicians' hirelings. If you are paid to be a cheerleader, you have an expiry date, no matter what delusion you entertain. So it goes on and on and on. And new guns for hire to sing the president's praises is what this story is talking about.
You know, we did come into the 21st century, and we actually are in the communication age. And what that means is that people will communicate in so many diverse ways. And opinions that you previously were not accustomed to hearing, you will hear. Now, when you make a statement, expect a response.
Yes, no.
People will respond to you, and they will say some fairly unsavory things. But as the matter of complaining, yes, the president does have a point. He has an extremely valid point.
That people are complaining too much?
Yes, we tend to whine quite a bit. But there is a question that has to be asked. What are we whining about exactly?
What are you whining about? And if I would flip the question, CT, shouldn't you ask yourself the question, these people who are whining, are they whining for whining's sake?
For the sake of just whining?
Or is there some substance in their whine?
It's a valid question, is it not?
Take that whichever way you want. Is there some substance in their whine that then makes them drunk with this complaining? Pun intended.
You know, when you complain incessantly, it can sound as though you're whining. But on the other hand, you may simply be expressing a certain high level of discomfort that you're experiencing. And because the experience, the pain is not ceding, you have to keep talking about it. Because if you have a thorn in your foot, every time you step down, you will exclaim.
You will feel the pain.
Yes, and you will express it. So if so many people seem to have the same expression, are we saying that they formed a choir, or are we saying that they have a similar experience that sounds like a choir doing their thing, when actually what you're hearing is a similarity because of the lived experience, which is similar?
Thank you. Exactly. Are people not complaining from a point of view whereby they have been down this road so many times that they're saying, what is going on? That you talk about infrastructure. Okay, look at the infrastructure project that was started 5 years ago. Have they been completed? The same president who stands today talked about in 6 months' time things were to be finished. Where are they? You leave those ones alone, and then now you want to go and sort out the airport. Kenyans are telling you, no, can you finish the ones that you started? Can you finish the ones that you promised and said that you were going to do? I would say take a step back and listen to what Kenyans are actually saying. Indeed, they complain, but I think they reserve the right of complaint. But shouldn't you listen to what they're saying to you? Kenyans are telling you something. Rather than take it personally, perhaps you should ask yourself, what are these people saying? Can I look at it differently? Perhaps that would be an approach that you could employ.
You know, it is, as someone has said, I was looking at some of the social media comments, it is absolutely true that one of the things that we Kenyans do is we complain. And if you understand the depth of our complaints, it's embedded in our greetings and the response to greetings. How are you?
Good too.
Exactly. Nico too. I am just. Okay. Are you fine?
Nilikuona jana, sasa leo unasikia at least.
Now you see, the responses are never definitive. I am well. I'm not well. It's always something in between.
Some komsi komsabi.
Yes. I'm really neither here nor there. Now, that speaks volumes because that is what you feel and you're expressing it. It may sound like a knee-jerk reaction, but that's exactly what you are feeling. Now, if we also look at something that is part and parcel of our culture with reference to politics, is we have a political class that is not accustomed to being told things they don't particularly want to hear.
No.
And the moment they ascend to a position that has power, they expect people to agree with them. And when people do not, then they do not take it kindly. Yes. But for everything, there are consequences.
Indeed, there are.
Yes, they always are. And this is the same thing that we read on page 10 in the Star, where it is said that the deputy president was saying that some of these agencies that we have, because they are independent and the constitutional commissions, they're misinterpreting the independence and they're undermining the overall agenda of the government. Now, to undermine the overall agenda of the government, I'm assuming, this is my view, that one of the things that you will be doing is you are negating laid down processes and procedures that you full well know you must follow. Is it? Or is it that you're offering, should we say, an alternative perspective on the subject?
It could be both. It could be both. You could be negating at one point, but you're offering a different perspective. It could be both.
Yes, there's that little detail, because when you look at it, he's saying that these commissions don't consult with other agencies. Now, these commissions, these independent, they are part and parcel. The people who are appointed by the government. They don't appoint themselves. So what I'm asking is, how does it get there? Because essentially you're saying they are funded by the government.
Yes.
They are appointed by the government. So, Mr. Deputy President, how is it that these people who are appointed by the government, paid by the government, how did it come about that they're now doing their own thing?
By virtue of the fact of those things that you've mentioned, it seems that they will continue to sing the song, the chorus of the government. Why would they do something totally different outside of what government wanted them to do?
I looked at this thing and I was looking at examples. There are none in this particular article. They're just general statements of what they're doing and what they're not doing. Anyway, these are the sort of stories that we'll look into in greater detail, if not tomorrow, but in the coming weeks, to determine what it is that was actually meant by this. Yes, because clearly for him to say it, there must be something he has experienced or witnessed, and that is why he was coming out and talking about it.
Indeed.
Yes.
So let's look at a story that is going to basically form part of our conversation at 7 o'clock. National Assembly wants closure of 348 schools, boarding wings reversed. Now, we saw this about a week ago where the CS Ogamba said, you know what, we've received a report that took place in terms of collection of information between September and October. And it's a countrywide kind of assessment. And 348 schools, their boarding wings will be closed because they have not met safety regulation and standards. Now, this, of course, hullabaloo came out and it was taken before the National Assembly. Now, National Assembly says, you know what? We're urging the Ministry of Education to reverse the closing of boarding schools sections of 348 primary schools. The MPs say most of the schools were not given time to comply with the guidelines set by the ministry, while others were not even inspected. According to the National Assembly Majority Whip Sylvanus Osoro, the decision was made out of panic following the deadly fire at Hillside Endarasha Academy in September. The ministry sent officials of boarding schools for inspection. They gave some schools 3 months to comply with the guidelines, but never went back. On this point, I have to agree. I think there was a lot of knee-jerk reaction to the fire that took place, whereby you should be doing quality assurance and assessment over the year. You cannot now then say we're going to do quality assessment and assurance just because a tragedy has occurred. So there, in a very rare occasion, I agree with Mr. Osoro. The ministry should save the parents the headache of finding new schools next year, because that is essentially what they're going to need to do. Dadaab MP Farah Malim said that there was no inspection in his constituency, yet 2 schools that serve pastoralists are affected. The idea of having boarding schools in pastoralist regions is to ensure children are learning as their parents move. The schools in my constituency are compliant. Nobody knows where they got the information. He added that the decision by the ministry is catastrophic, as it would lead to dropping out of school. We put up these boarding schools so that children can access education. The decision must be reversed immediately. Kitui Central MP Makali Mulu said closing the boarding section of the schools is wrong, adding that most of the institutions were supported by the National Government Constituency Development Fund, that's the NGCDF, which has already drawn the budget for this financial year. We appeal to the ministry to suspend this decision so that we factor this into the budget for improvement. Speaker Moses Wetangula directed the National Assembly Education Committee Chairman Julius Melly to issue a statement in the House on the reasons for the closure of the boarding sections of schools on Thursday afternoon, which is today. So, are we in a quagmire? Are we stuck between a rock and a hard place? Close them. Children are at a loss because they won't have schools to go to. A lot of these parents are counting on the boarding school option. But at the same time, here you are on this other side where you say, are we meeting safety standards? But at the same time, was a proper assessment done? Was a proper assessment done? This is another problem. Or did we just cherry pick or just pick something out of a hat and say, okay, these ones close them because they've not met? So what exactly is happening here? Just too many details swarming around each other, and it isn't clear. But it's interesting because the same story is covered in the Standard on page 13, and this is what it says, that you meet the safety standards of schools and there's no other way. If I can find page 13, it would be fantastic. There we go, usually after 12. Now, these schools that they said they're going to close, the Ministry of Education has given them has given primary schools whose boarding facilities were marked for closure 4 weeks to comply. Chairman Charles Ochome, who is the Kenya Private Schools Association, yesterday said they have until next month. We have held discussions with the Ministry of Education and the institutions that they are addressing the gaps identified during the audit, and they will be reassessed before January for compliance. Which January are we talking about? This one that we're in December?
We can take the view that yes.
Okay. They're saying that I believe the directive was a panic reaction. This was what Sylvanus Osoro said. But the association said, yeah, they have time to comply. They have time to fix it before January. Let me tell you, 349 schools fix their boarding section, go back for reassessment, and reapply to be open before January 7th.
I want to pour cold water on this conversation and make it even more dire.
Pour away.
Every time we have the sort of rains we have flooding. And apart from people being displaced, there are bridges all over the country that in the past have caused the loss of lives simply because the rivers have flooded, they have run over the bridges, and people have died. Buses have been swept away, vehicles. There are some famous ones, Nithi, for instance.
Yes.
But it's not alone. There are very many others. When the government gives us an account of what they have done, first of all, let me just ask, have these bridges been sorted out?
Which one?
All. Because it wasn't one bridge. Every time we have this sort of rain, people are cut off. And it's all over the country. Roads are swept away.
We're still building bridges, City.
Yes. Have we repaired the ones that had problems before? Have we completed them?
No, please.
Because if it's a mega disaster, what you will find is all the politicians going around from the day of the burial, making promises.
Fundraising.
And that'll be it. And that'll be it. So, if we perhaps could just have, it's a request really, just an indication of what has been done about some of these things, the preparation that we had for people who are in areas that are flood prone and so forth, and what it is that is being done even right now, just the details of it, it would be good. Yes.
Kidogo too.
It will be good.
It would be very good.
It will be good.
We're teetering on disaster. It's like every moment we breathe, we're teetering on disaster, and we don't till now know how to handle it. So if something worse happens, then what will you do? And now here we have these decisions, power plays back and forth. Don't close them because we have NGCDF and we have already done a budget.
Yes.
Or close them because if we do, people are in pains and we are reacting from a tragedy that happened. We don't want the spotlight on us because we haven't done our job properly. I mean, for goodness sake. Who suffers at the end of the day?
Look at the focus of discussion within the political class, and it gives us a very, very clear indication on their take of what it is that is a priority in the country.
Money.
Yes. So people continue to face the problems they faced yesterday and the day before and the beginning of the year. And is there respite? Is there an opportunity for us to say that indeed there are clear efforts that are being made to ensure that these problems are a thing of the past?
Unfortunately, they're not. And on that note, it's 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Marginalized areas to receive more money from the Equalization Fund. Mbadi spoke in Nairobi during the launch of the implementation of the Equalization Fund projects for the 2024-2028 period. The Equalization Fund is made up of 0.5% of all revenue collected by the national government each year, calculated on the basis of the most recent audited accounts of revenue received as approved by the National Assembly.
I know there are marginalized areas almost everywhere across the country, including where I come from, but I am not Cabinet Secretary to represent my area. I am Cabinet Secretary in charge of National Treasury for the whole country. So if something is not working, let us look at it. For me, my suggestion is simple. CRA, kindly, we need a debate, but kindly recommend we go back to a few counties where this money can have impact. This money was not meant to be spread this thing. That is my view, and I hold it so strongly. You can have a different opinion, but that is the fruit of democracy.
And talking about counties, Controller of Budget Margaret Nyakongo has shown the spotlight on counties and how they allocated and spent their development monies. Nyakongo, in the report covering the start of the financial year from July to October, revealed that Governor Johnson Sakaja-led Nairobi County is among 10 devolved units that spent 0 shillings on development during the period. The others include Kajiado, Baringo, Lamu, Uasin Gishu and West Pokot counties. On the other hand, the report indicated that Governors Patrick Ole Ntutu of Narok and Kirinyaga's Anne Waiguru spent the highest on development. Ntutu pumped 477 million to development in 4 months, while Waiguru spent 378 million shillings, with Busia's Paul Otuoma absorbing 328 million to development. A leadership crisis is looming in the Kenyan Nurses Union, with Secretary General Seth Panyako accused of poor leadership. Members have now vowed to withdraw from none and join another union.
Panyako tawe! Bye-bye Panyako! Panyako tawe! Bye-bye Panyako! From today we are saying bye-bye to Panyako.
I think members of press you've heard, nurses in this country have heard, the whole world has heard that we are quitting KNUN to UKCS.
It is a very painful decision for us because that was our union. We were the one who formed it, not Panyako.
This, however, is not the first time nurses have threatened to leave the union, as earlier this year they accused Panyako of promoting his own interests instead of theirs. This comes as nurses in Makueni have given the county 7 days to address their grievances, failure to which they'll go on strike.
But they are not being paid. Actually, they used to be underpaid. Yet we agreed to work. Yet they are not paid. Our governor promised us that this money is going to be paid. they are paying merchants, they are paying suppliers, they are paying everybody else, but the nurses are not being paid their ROCAMs.
It's a sigh of relief for people living with disabilities in Bungoma County after Governor Ken Lusaka announced that they'll receive free medical services across all public hospitals. Governor Lusaka said the County Assembly has passed a disability policy which he expects to sign this week as part of a plan to provide guidance on how the disabled will be served in hospital.
Na nataka kutangaza hivi kwamba watu wenye ulemavu wote katika kaunti ya Bungoma wakienda assessment kwa hospitali wasilipishwe chochote. They should not be charged any money. Na tayari tumefanya consultation, there will be no any mtu akikuitisha pesa piga simu tudili na yeye. Lakini hiyo nimetangaza, there will be no pesa ya kulipwa. Ya pili, ile disability and mainstreaming policy iko tayari, ni mimi kuweka kidole. Na nitaweka wiki hii so that we are able to have regulations na guidance vile tutadili na mambo ya watu wenye ulemavu.
That's the news wire. I'm La Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, a quick look at where we are with traffic this morning, and it is starting to build up as you are on the Thika Superhighway getting through into the CBD this morning. Also, let's take a quick look at James Gishuru, and traffic is also building up here. As you get over the drift and then join Wairimu Way, but nothing too crazy. People are getting where they need to go real quick this morning, not a problem. The Thika Superhighway is pretty busy. Also, it's very busy on Kiambu Road this morning. Inbound traffic is already at red and a lot of people trying to get through. Let's look at Outer Ring, which looks good right now. Landys Road, really early building up of traffic as you get to the Kamkunji roundabout, and then it'll take you on to Haile Selassie. Very busy here as well. As you get onto Jogo Road, coming off from the Outer Ring Junction, that's busy, and we're looking at traffic that has already started to build up on Uhuru Highway. It's probably going to be another day of craziness. Mombasa is not looking too bad as you get over the Cabanas interchange out towards Cabanas itself. It is starting to build up, but you'll get past General Motors and you should be okay. Part of Mombasa Road is being worked on, so that's going to cause some traffic as you try to get yourself out towards Nyeri Stadium roundabout. So that's one thing to watch out for. We're getting into traffic hour in about half hour or so. Let's see what happens. But for now, we're starting off Thursday without too much of an issue. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Asante sana. CT Muga opposite.
Bro, ukisikiliza na unasikia opposite.
The Situation Room, Spice. The only way to start your day.
New Life Prayer Center and Church chini ya Pastor Evangelist Ezekiel inakutangazia ibada kubwa ya meza ya Bwana.
Tunapokutana kwa mwili wa Yesu na damu ya Yesu, tunapeana chakula kwa yule mtu wa ndani.
Baraka za kufunga mwaka 2024, kupokea nyota, uponyaji, unabii pamoja na kufunguliwa kabisa. Ibada hii itafanyika tarehe 4 hadi tarehe 15 mwezi wa 12 2024. Mahali ni Mavueni, Mombasa nchini Kenya. Watu wa dini zote, watu wa mataifa yote mnakaribishwa.
This is the Situation Room The only way to start your day. Online, mobile, and on radio. www.spiceradio.co.ke. This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
It's 10 minutes after 7 o'clock, and good morning once again, wherever you're tuned in around the globe and right here in Kenya. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation at 10 after 7 on this 5th day of December, getting into a education conversation this hour. And even as we do that, welcome to our audiences on KTN, and all our live streams are up on YouTube, on Facebook, and through. Asanteni Sana every morning for joining us. As we get into it this morning, CT, we're flying somewhere this holiday. When you fly, where will you go?
Well, if you are traveling within Kenya, we wish you a happy safari. By whatever means you will be traveling, whether you are going to walk to your destination, take public transport, cycle there, motorcycle there. But if you want to leave the country and you want to leave it in absolute comfort, then I want you to consider taking the Emirates. Why? Well, you're talking about an airline that provides you with the sort of personalized service that you normally attribute with only the best in the hospitality industry. From the time you want to fly to the time you get to the plane, limousine service. You then board the plane, the welcome, the facilities, the food, the drinks, the entertainment, the rest, everything that you could have had in your own home and more. The best of the best. That is Emirates Business Class.
Bus.
140 destinations from Nairobi.
And they give you pajamas.
And you can keep the pajamas.
And you can keep the pajamas. How about something else that you can keep right with you this holiday season? Showmax is saying, take us with you this festive season. There are things that you can do to, keep you busy as well as keep you entertained. I want you to log on to showmax.com and you can see the whole offering, variety of local productions, of series, of movies, of documentaries, of sports content that you can literally take with you. Take your entertainment with you this festive season, because you can watch on your phone, you can watch on your tab. You don't just have to be in front of your TV watching as you traditionally would do. So Showmax lets you take this technology with you wherever you go. This festive season, I want you to do one thing. Shika Showmax. Right? This hour, we're going to be having we're going to be having an education conversation. There are very many things happening in the country at the moment as it pertains to the education sector. And we're going to have this conversation with you today as we get into it. I'm just going to give you those phone lines, 0719012600. Let's start with that. But as we get into it, let's now form the background for that. But before we do, CT, you want to remind us about today's proverb and what that is? I do. We are still in the Democratic Republic of... Is it really? No, it isn't. It is the People's Republic of Mozambique. A reflection cannot see itself. A reflection cannot see itself. Yes, it can't. It has to bounce off of something. It must be created from something. It has to. So if you see bad in society, or if you see bad in leadership, it's bouncing off the people. Or if you see bad in people, if you see wrong in the people, is it bouncing off of the leadership? It has to have an origin. It has to have come from somewhere. Okay. Yes. Now, allow me to paint a picture for you about what is currently going on in the country when it comes to education. Now, I do understand that in the recent days, in the last few 24, 48 hours, Kenyans have been chided for complaining so much about things. But I'm never one to step away from the plate when it comes to calling out things when they are not going as they should. I don't think it's a secret where we stand in terms of what needs to be done when it comes to education. It's one of the fundamental pillars of any society. It is enshrined in the Constitution that Kenya's children have a right to education. And not just any kind of education, but a solid education. All right? Now, the CS for education, just a couple of days ago, when he was talking about 80 days, almost 100 days in office. And he said, you know what? There are so many balls, bouquets of balls that are being juggled at the same time. And he didn't say that we are doing a fantastic job. He did talk about the challenges that are being faced in the Ministry of Education. And no sooner than had he said that, than we now saw other things sprouting. So here's the picture. CBC was introduced about 5 years ago, right? That meant that there was going to be a change in the system, of course, and that meant that 844 was going to move from existence to non-existence, and this new system was going to be in place. So now we have grades 1, and essentially they'll go through 12. Next year is the first year that we will not see Form 1 entrance. We have grade 9s who are getting into the system. We now have common assessments that are done at grade 3, grade 6, grade 9, and the final one will be done at grade 12. And your education score is a consolidation of these 4 years, right? Those particular 4 years, in addition to the work that you've done in between. But there are markers here that show us that perhaps something is wrong, is it not? Mm-hmm. That when the current, now those students who seem to have gotten the short end of the stick every time, they are the ones who went from grade 6 to 7, and we did not have books we did not have books or proper learning from teachers in the first and second terms of their grade 7. That eventually happened, and we kind of stumbled down the hill. These are the same learners who are going to grade 9 in January, in a month. And we were told that 16,000 classrooms are needed in order for education and learning to go on properly. At last count, we were just over 6,000 classes having been completed. So you have to ask your question, will 10,000 classrooms be completed in a month? Number 2, we did see yesterday that CBC teachers now will go through retraining. That's going to happen perhaps over the next couple of weeks as well, so that we can get back to scratch. We know that capitation for 2020, we know that capitation was not complete in terms of what was sent, and maybe the balances will be sent, I don't know, by January, we don't know.
The previous year we had a similar story and said it would be sent, it wasn't sent.
Unfortunately, it wasn't.
And we carried it over to the new year.
So year after year, there's a backlog, and there's a carryover of capitation.
And it's building up.
It is. So we're setting the stage, and we'll be able to take your calls in a short while, but this is the stage that has been set. Now, once that happened, we then had a tragedy in September this year. And unfortunately, the loss of 21 souls then happened because of, many people could say many things. We still don't have a report on Asha and what happened. But that then spawned a reaction from the Ministry of Education. And they went ahead and did an assessment, or so they say. And from that assessment that carried out between September and October, 348 schools now have been affected. And their boarding sections, according to the ministry, will be closed. Right? They will be closed, and they've been given a month to meet the standards and then reapply for status. In the meantime, the parents of the children in these schools have to look for plan B, because we know that in a month it is going to be very difficult for them to have met these standards. There are too many balls in the air that have not been caught. And one must ask, what is going on? We keep asking this question, and I think we can't stop asking until we see the needle start to move. Basic education is going on. It's happening. But is it enough to just say, okay, look, we see the year finished. People start exams. They finished. Didn't we finish? Yes, we did. But is it enough? And we need to look at these reasons as to why it is not enough.
When you have a situation where we are saying that we must accept the bare minimum as being enough, then clearly one has to ask, is that not where a problem begins? And is that not where you see the escalation of a problem? The Ministry of Education and the issues that it has didn't start with the President William Ruto's government. President Uhuru Kenyatta's government also had the issues. Money was budgeted for when we're talking about CBC, because that's when the story actually was in earnest during President Uhuru Kenyatta's reign. And There were desks. There were structures. Even then, we were even told how it is the ordinary citizens who are going to benefit locally from building some of these units, or even in making sure that the furniture went and the furniture. You don't construct furniture. What do you do with furniture?
You build it.
You build it.
Yes.
It was said it would be given to locals.
Mm.
A full report of what happened to the monies that were allocated for this particular enterprise, as I speak now, I have not come across it.
No, sadly.
And I don't know whether all that was completed or it wasn't. And then we come into a new year, and it's clear whether we're not certain, we're not clear as to whether where it is we are going to house the people who have moved on from stage 1 to stage 2 in the CBC. We don't know. Do we keep them in the primary school? Do we keep them in the secondary school? And as we transit, there will be changes that will be made. And it's these changes that have brought about this discussion of boardings and everything that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And then there's this small matter of capitation that didn't start yesterday either. It started long before. It's this thing that makes it possible for students to be able to be taken care of. And we are in arrears. And it's been carried over. It's called a carryover. Mm. Now, when you look at all these issues, we can discuss the issues and forget that these matters become an issue because they relate to living human beings. And these human beings are perhaps the most important human beings in our communities and in our society. Mm-hmm. They are the youth, the young people. They are just beginning. They just begin to figure out what's what in their lives. And we seem to be ensuring that they're going to go through the most difficult, the most harrowing experiences you can consider. And this is at the hands of the very people who are supposed to protect these lives and to ensure that this period of their lives is a pleasant one and gives them a lovely memory of what it is that it was to be young. But we seem to be doing the complete opposite.
Indeed.
Yes.
All right, we're going to start taking your calls because I think it's important for these conversations to happen in a public arena, and we'll start that this morning. Good morning. How are you? Hello? Hello, good morning. Okay, we don't seem to be... hello, good morning. We don't seem to be connecting. All right, so maybe we'll keep taking those calls as we get them this morning and continue with that conversation. If we could hear from you, if you can hear us, it would be great to hear from you as we work on that system. But we continue looking at some of these issues which are highly important. 0719-012-600. That's our number this morning. And even as we keep taking those calls from you, why is it so difficult to get some of these things done? We had a conversation with the Estonians the other day, and she said something that struck me. And she said, you know what? When you are talking about schools and school transport and people waking up early, said it's not an issue. It really is not an issue because every community in the country will have a school that is not a far distance from school buses will not have to be traversing all over the place. You can either walk, ride your bicycle, or take public transport to school. And if you're a resident of that, particular community, it is free transport for you. What stops us, do you think, from getting to the place whereby all of these things are actually done and streamlined and done properly?
Everything she discussed has been and was part and parcel of my lived experience, where the schools we went to, the primary school I went to, was a walking distance. Mm. We walked to school. Well, the other thing about the time was that there was no option. You had to walk.
You had to walk.
Yeah, but it was a walking distance. Everybody walked to school unless you had parents who wanted to drop you into the school. But the schools were built. Part of our planning as Kenya, part of the planning was when you have an area that is inhabited by a certain number of people, there's certainly certain public facilities that must be there. A hospital, a school. These things were considered. And it has been, I don't know whether it's still there, part of our planning where if you're putting up, say, an estate and you estimate that there'll be a certain number of people, a certain number of people militates that you must have, say, a kindergarten.
Yep.
When there's a number beyond that, you must then have a primary school. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, and it goes on that way. So the idea that is being spoken of here is not even strange to us.
It isn't.
Yes. What is strange is the implementation.
And it's an implementation issue. And I think that's the crux of the matter when we look at some of these things. But let's look at some lines, CT.
Yes.
Really, when we talk about capitation, When we talk about the fact that you have a system whereby sometimes you have fake students, right? Or non-existent students. Sometimes you have schools.
Fake schools
that if you were going to go take a picture, you just find a gate. And that capitation...
And a signpost.
And a signpost, perhaps. And that capitation is going to some of these schools. Then you have to ask yourself the question, will we really be able to get these things in order? We're going to keep taking your calls, and then we'll come back and answer some of those questions. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Boniface.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling from Nairobi.
Yes.
The only issue that we have majorly giving a big problem is the way the planners are putting things for our schools. The working team that was appointed advised the leader, but the point was not put forward when they were factoring in. And that's why nothing can get moving. Number two, the leader we have as the president, he was given a chance to lead. He should stop campaigning. Let him sit down, look for advice, or get advice from his people. Then let him pick a few that he feels that are right. Otherwise, they're ruining the whole education system, health system, development system. Like the other time, when he was with the previous president, the retired president, they were counting kilometers of road. Tumefanya. Can he today tell us if there is even one single kilometer tarmac?
Since he started?
Since he started. And the reason is that he's ignoring everything. And now he's becoming a dictator. He's becoming a dictator in which way? He's becoming too harsh to any advice, any complaint, any word people are talking about. And he's trying to pin them down completely. So he's just trying to dig a grave for his fellow politicians, his colleagues around him. But let him try to look for a way, at least to let people work. Let him collect the taxes. People are ready to pay taxes. For example, like where we live, 3 days there has been no power. 3 days. It has been restored. Midnight. That is at 0:05 is when we got power. Since the other day strike. The people working there are just messing up everything.
Well, I hear
Where do we start? Where do we go? Education is a mess. And he has pushed all the members of parliament to allocate a lot of money in his office for him just rotating round. We want him to sit down. Let him work for people.
And get the job done. I hear you on that. Thank you so much.
Get the job done.
Thanks for calling in. Let's take some more views even as we continue. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, City and Do?
Very well.
We're well, thank you.
And who are we speaking to this morning?
You're speaking to Otieno Ongaro.
Yes, Otieno.
I think you can remember me. I've been in your show sometimes back. I want to talk about the education.
Yes, please. Tell us what your thoughts about what is currently happening with the system.
Yeah, the first thing that I want to talk about is this school capitation. I think that there's a lot of money that is being wasted in the NGCDF and all these bursaries. I wish the government could have just put this money together and come up with a mechanism of how they can put this money directly to the schools, so that the money that is lost from the bursary and all these other funds is reduced. That is one thing. Another thing that I think that Kenyans, maybe even our government, we are fond of being caught flat-footed, and like this CBC thing, it is something that has been there for quite some time, and I think the government could have just prepared early enough.
Yes.
But this seems like now maybe why should we just then privatize education and come up with solutions? Because I think some private schools are doing better because they have already prepared for the next year and every other year. And I think there is a way this privatization can be done so that even the people who are having the poverty line are below the poverty line can also be helped, but through this privatization, because it seems that the government is not getting anything right.
I hear you on that, Otieno.
Yeah, then I think the last thing that I think I want to talk about is the issue of the infrastructure in the schools.
Yes.
I think that we had some classes that were built in the secondary schools. I don't know what the classes became, and whether now the grade 9 that is the next grade that can use those facilities. I don't know whether that one is still possible. Maybe the ministry can say something about that.
Perhaps we need to hear from them, and we want to take some calls from other folks this morning. Thank you so much for your thoughts this morning, Otieno.
Okay, thank you so much.
Asante sana. Hello, good morning. Calling from Miami, Florida this morning. Hello.
Yes, this is George Okoh from Miami.
Yes, George,
how are you
good
guys
morning.
doing?
Very well, and how are you?
Yes. Good. I watch you guys all every day, but the issue of the CDC, man, it's tough. I don't think that the government had a clear thought of what they wanted to do. I think the government just, Mr. Ruto wanted to have score too many goals at the same time. I think that it was never thought of easily, clearly.
So it's necessary to do one thing at a time and do it well.
Perfectly. And I think Mr. Ruto has to listen to people. He has to listen to the people he's leading. He's leading Kenyans. And Kenyans, a lot of Kenyans are so bright. My goodness. And I wish he could just listen, take his time to listen and make this thing work. It's a good thing, but let it sit down and let it work. I think that's what we need to do.
Thanks so much for your thoughts on that, George. Thanks for calling so late in the night. Asante san, and have a good one. Taking some more calls from you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, and how are you?
Very well, thank you. What's your name, sir?
My name is Francis. I'm calling from Nairobi.
Yes, Francis. What are your thoughts on what could be done for this education?
I honestly have a little bit of mixed feelings because, one, we keep hearing that they are closing this, they are closing that, they are closing this. But we don't hear them building anything.
They've built 6,000 classrooms so far.
You cannot wake up in the morning and say that you're closing schools that have boarding, and then on the other hand, you are saying that you need 60,000 classes next year. It has to be one or the other. I'm honestly disturbed by the fact that there was a school, I think in Kasarani, that said that no one had visited the school. They don't even have a boarding school in the institution, and they've been closed. So you're wondering, is that the way to go about it? Even legit?
Yeah.
Is that even that list is even legit? Was there any
proper
investigation
assessment?
done?
Yeah.
Exactly. What exactly was done? What criteria was used for them to come up with the list?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your thoughts on that, Francis. Let's hear from some other callers this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, Ndo.
Yes.
Could you speak from Mombasa?
Yes, and what's your name? And if you could speak up a little bit because we're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, okay. My name is Peter Onjala.
Yes, Peter.
I'm calling from Mombasa.
Yes.
Okay, my view, in terms of the state of education in Kenya is, I think our leaders don't feel where the shoe pinches the most because they don't have their kids in our system of education.
Yeah.
Get the point? Because I remember while I was going through the education, I've gone through the government system of education, the government schools and such. We used to learn with the kids of these lucrative people. You get? So they were conversant of the issues that were going on in the schools.
Yes.
But as time has progressed, they've tried not to bring their students, their kids into these government schools. So they don't know where, they don't understand where the rain is hitting us.
Yes.
And they don't know, the actual problems. So they don't mind. What they're trying to do is they're just trying to maybe as if be like want to try to fix the problems, but in real sense they're not.
But it's not working. We hear you on that, Peter. Yeah, indeed. We hear you on that, Peter. Thanks so much for calling in this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm Koech from Gapsabit.
Yes, Koech. Talk to us about your thoughts on our current education system.
Yes, I want to take issues with how the current CBC is implemented. Yeah, the junior, I'll talk about the junior school now.
Please do.
In the junior school, I think the implementation is not going on well because the students who are proceeding to grade 9 soon, they are supposed to choose the subjects very soon or the pathways.
Yes, for the pathways.
If you look at the resources that they are using for learning, they are not there. The laboratories are not there in the junior schools. So my question to the government is, how will these learners now choose the pathways? Given the fact that they have not done the practicals, those learning materials are not there. Number 2 is the capitation. There is a lot of money sent to these schools through capitation by the government. But if you look at what that money is doing, it is very little. There is no much monitoring of the same funds. Even the learning materials, I'm a teacher myself.
Yes.
And the learning materials are not there. So you'll find in some schools even the learners are still sent home for assessment fee. Yet the government is giving out some of this money they're receiving.
Yeah.
So I think what is just missing is proper monitoring and implementation of this curriculum.
And management. I hear you, Koech. All right, let's take one more call before we go to the break. Thank you so much for your thoughts on that. One more call. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you? And what's your name, sir?
Yeah, my name is Machari Indian.
Yes, Machari.
Yeah, I'm calling from Oregon. Yeah, the problem with the kind of system of education is that we do copy paste. We don't do a good education system, because what was wrong with 844?
Yeah.
The system which have been adapted now is what we have here in America. But we don't have boarding school here.
Yeah.
Up to even up to, or even the secondary, we don't have boarding schools. The boarding schools are private and they are very few. All public schools are day schools. The previous systems was designed that when you go to Form 1, you go to high school. So when you bring a system whereby now that kids have to go to junior high school, and they were supposed to go to high school, which they had planned that they were going to a boarding school, and now they hear that they are going to a day school, which is actually a domicile in a 3-mile school.
Yes.
It's so disruptive, and the problem is that every system which comes, every regime which comes, it comes with its own education system, which is not well thought. It's somebody who goes there and copy and paste. We had the system I went through was 7, 4, 2, 3, whereby we went 4 years in high school, another 2 years in A level.
Yes.
And that was a good system because by the time we were hitting from city, we were really what we wanted to do.
I hear you. Yeah.
All of a sudden, they brought 844. When 844 came in, there was a lot of hiccups. There was a lot of issues.
It's true, and I think there's a lot of
So the problem is that even in the education system, there are people who have vested interests, and politicians have seemed to be the people who are really, taking over all the ministries.
Definitely.
The technocrats have not.
We hear your thoughts on that, Macharia. Thanks for sharing this morning, and I think it's a conversation that continues to keep in the limelight. Thank you very much for calling in this morning.
Say hi to City. I know he went through the system I went through.
Indeed. And City says hello to you as well. All right. So, on that note, guys, I think that we continue with this conversation. I think it's extremely important. Let's take a break, and a juice break on that note. Del Monte, City, they say real for real, don't they?
Yes, they do. They do. Mm-hmm. They do. And real actually recognizes real. When you hear tomato, you see tomato, you think vegetable.
Yeah.
Tomato isn't a fruit, by the way, okay?
Hey.
Well, there are those who think it is. If you want to think it's a fruit, please, by all means, think it's a fruit. But as you're thinking of it as a fruit or a vegetable or just as a tomato, please understand that it certainly has benefits.
Indeed.
And those benefits are many. There are nutrition benefits, digestive benefits, skin health benefits, liver benefits. My friend, it does wonderful things for you.
There you go.
Yes.
It's our Del Monte health break at this point, and we're going to take a break and come back and continue with this conversation. Think about getting yourself a cuppa. Cranberry, I hear, is good for the ladies as well. You want to think about that. Del Monte real for real at 19 minutes to 8 o'clock.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Yes. As I mentioned, the weather we had in the morning is the weather we still have in the morning because we're still in the morning. Well, not much has changed really. Whether you're in Malindi, whether you're in Kisumu, whether you're in Kinshasa, whether you're in Johannesburg, whether you're in Vita, Kakamega, New York, the weather is still the same. It is cloudy where it was cloudy. It is clear where it was clear. And everything is still constant. But as we move on to the day, we will find that places that had been cloudy will actually become clearer. Places that were partly sunny will actually become sunnier. And places that were warm will start getting warmer. Places that were cold will also start getting warmer. And that is the weather for this particular time. Thank you. Well, I did say that traffic was going to start building up, and it has. If you are looking at the usual culprits, you're looking, let's start off with Thika Superhighway. Yes, traffic is actually beginning to build on the Thika Superhighway. And what that means is that all the arteries that join with it will now start seeing more and more traffic. If you are looking at the Githurai roundabout, you will find that Githurai roundabout actually is getting fuller and fuller. And even beyond it, you're getting choker-blocked, vehicle following vehicle. And this is going to lead on as it comes into town. And when it goes to all the way into town, yes, all the places where traffic meets, whether it's a cross-section, whether there is a traffic cross-section, whether it is a roundabout, there will be traffic building up, whether it is on Jogo Road, whether it is on Landis, whether it is on Mombasa Road, Southern, Eastern Bypass, Waiyaki Way. Tell us what the situation like in the part of the city that you're in, and tell us about what it is that you're experiencing. And do have a good day.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. 94.4 Spice FM.
This morning at 7:45, and we continue our education conversation. It's interesting. It strikes me that a lot of people have an issue with the way things are currently being carried out, and that there seems to be an implementation problem. I do not doubt. In fact, we've had conversations with some of them that some of the most brilliant minds are domiciled at the ministry. Under the ministry, you have the Institute for Curriculum Development. You have those who are in the publishing area. You have those who are creating and developing policy for education and how it should be carried out. But what happens when it comes to the actual carrying out of these implementation matrices? What happens? There seems to be a loss somewhere. It is not possible. Well, actually, I guess it is, because we're experiencing it now. But it should not be that so many things don't go or are not up to scratch when it comes to a system.
They raise more questions than they provide answers.
Too many. For a fundamental pillar of society that I keep calling it, education, for a fundamental pillar, it should not be that so many things are going wrong. And look, CT, it's across board. From what is ECD all the way to university. Every sector today is having an issue of an implementation problem.
Yes, it is. But if you look at how it is that the government plans for the education sector, it's very impressive. The details they go to, whether you're talking about the Ministry of Education, you're talking about county governments, district education boards, community leaders who are also part of the boards of these government schools. A lot of planning goes into it. Planning that guarantees that beyond even just developing the curriculum, that there's supposed to be a consistent monitoring and evaluation process that determines what should happen and what shouldn't. And that's why it becomes a bit of a surprise when you hear that 348 boarding schools are going to be closed.
Yeah.
What was the unit that is charged with monitoring and evaluating doing when all this was happening? So that suddenly we have this huge number being shut down. And then part of that planning also comes as staffing and recruitment. Now, we've heard, because we've read, we are recruiting 30,000 teachers. We are doing this. We are retraining. All these things are part of the forecast that the government has when it's planning. When you read the blueprint of how the government goes about it, it is extremely impressive.
It's brilliant.
And so you understand. You ask, okay, so where's the crack? I mean, this thing seems foolproof. It looks like you've plugged all the possible leaks and so forth. So why are we where we are? What we're hearing, these Kenyans speaking about, these are not complaints. These people are giving a situational report. Where we are at, this is what we are living, this is what we are witnessing, this is what we're experiencing. That's all they're doing. And this is what is raising the question, why are we seeing this?
We can do better.
Yes, why?
We can do better. And I think even at the county level, how often do we see quality assurance officers, because they're education officers? It is one of the ministries that has officers who are supposed to be around the country. What do they do in terms of assurance of assessment? What do they do every year, ever so often, when they're supposed to be in checking these things that we're talking about? Not a knee-jerk slapstick reaction and then we say, okay, yeah, we've done something, now you guys close. No. In as much as it is a safety issue, is that the way in which you should be carrying them out?
You see, they are supposed with the health check unit of the Ministry of Education, so that if there's a problem, it's identified and a remedy prescribed so that it can actually be implemented.
Exactly.
Now, if that is in tow, then what you then have is a situation where you don't need to close 348 schools. Because if there are problems that led to the closure, they would have been identified early and they would have been rectified.
Or send now the parents of the children in those 348 schools who are boarders into some kind of panic over the next 4 weeks, especially when we're getting into the festive period. Who's looking for schools now?
You see, what you're seeing now, and with that announcement, it was as though the ministry was accusing itself of failing to do what it's supposed to do.
And has come into the public eye. We're taking your calls on 0719-012-600. Chip into this conversation this morning, and we continue with your calls. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Your name, sir?
Jonathan Wesaya.
Yes, Jonathan. Where are you calling us from this morning?
I'm calling from Kakamega in Butere sub-county.
There you go. What are your thoughts about some of the things that we are seeing as concerns education this morning?
I have worked in the education sector for the last 20 or so years.
You've taken a breath. Should we be worried? You've taken a serious breath.
And what the problem with education is that since the late Professor George Saitoti and the late Mutula Kilonzo, we have not had a serious cabinet secretary for education. We do not have a dream bearer who then carries the dream to its realization. We talk politics, and when the president was making the State of the Nation address and he is defending the modern funding model for higher education, instead of explaining how it's going to work, then you know his handlers have thrown him under the bus.
Let me hold on to you there, Mr. Wasaya, because obviously we know that you're an education expert and that you've, like you said, you've been in the arena for a very, very long time. And even as we speak to you this morning, where did this begin? Because there's a carryover, administration to administration, of the issues that we see. Where did this start from?
It is a lack of planning because, legend has it that when Kibaki declared free primary education in 2003, the late Professor Joyce Saitoti went and asked him, like, where are we going to get the money? And he told him, like, I hired you to figure that out. You go figure it out. But then from free primary education to Uhuru, we had 100% transition. Now, we have not planned for these numbers. That is why we are grappling with things we needed to have figured out 10 years ago, and we are grappling with them today. Because
I'd like to ask you a question, if I may, please. Forget the interruption. When you say we haven't planned, what exactly do you mean?
Let me give you a classic example. The principal for Maranda High School was my teacher and he's my friend. I go there and I speak to the students there. He has nearly 3,000 learners in one school. You know, like, they are not even able to have a normal school parade. They have a Kamukunji on Saturday because it is like a public rally.
There's so many.
Yes, there are so many. He has 5 deputy head teachers. But then we fail to plan. When these children are going through primary and they are going through secondary, we fail to plan for them when they get to university. So were we teaching and taking them through school so that they don't get to university? It is plain simple. We need somebody in the Ministry of Education who has a vision and then puts in place processes to achieve a higher goal for the nation.
Right.
But as it is now, the Ministry of Education cannot realize anything. Do I tell you, if you were to count the number of agencies under the Ministry of Education, you will run out of your fingers.
It's crazy.
Yes, as it is structured now, the Ministry of Education cannot achieve anything for this country.
Why?
Why not?
If it remains as it is, Teacher Service Commission is an independent thing. Then we have the ministry. So the ministry issues this directive today. The ministry, the Teacher Service Commission contradicts it. We have KICD on the other side. We have Kenya Institute we have the Institute of Special Education on the other side. We have school equipment. there are nearly 20 agencies under the Ministry of Education that have no control. The cabinet secretary has no control over.
So what you were saying, essentially, if I can jump in there, Jonathan, that there's this monolith of a ministry. There are so many people doing so many things, and yet we are not achieving the single byproduct of a solid education with all the mechanisms in place and in tow to achieve what it was essentially initially prescribed to do. So many people working on one thing, but we can't get the pot of soup out.
Yes, you are spot on. We can't, and we have messed it up. What happened, Muga, you will notice the collapse of public health.
Yes.
With the mushrooming of private hospitals.
Yes.
We moved slowly. Initially it was if you had a fracture, people would tell you need to go to Thogoto.
Yes.
People will tell you need to go to Kenyatta. But then, next to Kenyatta, we had Nairobi Hospital come up. So in every county now, next to the level 4 or 5 hospital, there is a private hospital. And this is what is beginning to happen in education, that we are increasingly privatizing a public good, and those who are able to buy it are going to be ahead of the rest when we continuously talk about eliminating marginalization, having equity and equality for all. And this is exemplified by the policy that the government has taken since the former President Uhuru's time, where the publication and distribution of textbooks in secondary schools has been left in the hands of private publishers. Literally, if you write a book, the Ministry of Education would approve it and tell you to distribute to nearly 30,000 schools.
Yes.
And then you invoice it.
For payment in the future.
For payment, yes. Now, the publishers have gotten hold of the ministry literally on a chock-a-block, and the ministry cannot move. That is why the former minister, Amina Mohammed, ambassador, when she received the review for CBC, she said, let us stop this. We need to move back and reevaluate our initial steps. She was moved from the ministry the following day because the publishers literally flew to Mombasa, and that is the first day Uhuru addressed the nation at night in Mombasa. Because the publishers went there and said, we agreed this thing needs to be done. And Uhuru said, okay, we are going to keep chewing gum and moving. If there are a few challenges with CBC, we'll be handling
figure it
them
out as we go.
Yes. So, but then we have never been able to figure it out until this point.
I'm going to ask you really quickly, because maybe we have about 30 seconds to go. Then what needs to happen from your point of view, having been in the system for the last 2 decades? What needs to happen from what we see? Because there seem to be so many balls in the air at the same time.
What needs to happen is that Kenyans need to consider very seriously on who they vote for. Once a nation is not able to plan for education, it fails to plan in other areas, because education is supposed to be a precursor in every sector. It is the people who have gone through a particular form of education that are going to impact the other sectors. But if we continue doing it the way we are doing it, tribe against tribe, and not assessing an individual's capacity, then we are doomed. We are not going to get out of the woods anytime soon.
Jonathan Wasaya calling in, or rather we call you from Kakamega this morning, an education expert.
Kakamega.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Asante Sana.
Thanks.
The conversations continue, folks. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm La Ubaga. As the Christmas and New Year festivities get underway, the government has now deployed the Kenya Defence Forces to assist in patrolling and enhancing security measures. Interior Cabinet Secretary Raymond Omolo says the troops will man the Langata Operations Centre to support the more than 1,000 police officers who'll be patrolling this season.
A total of 10,317 officers have been deployed for this exercise. The involvement of Kenya Defence Forces, you will have noticed that part of why we are including them as part of this multi-agency team is to be able to utilize some of the assets that they have to support the operations of all the other security actors, whether it's in terms of air assets, should there be a need for us to do so. We are activating the National Multi-Agency Command Center at the Langata Barracks.
Also, the deployment of the troops is due to the low number of police officers, especially after others were deployed to Haiti to combat the gang attackers. All officers on leave have been ordered to return to duty immediately. This comes as car theft, online scamming, counterfeit liquor sellers, drug dealers, and those who exploit children on social media are being given a stern warning.
All the multi-agency command centers to be manned on a 24-hour basis, and this means that all the officers that have been deployed, the 10,000 plus, are directed to resume duty with immediate effect.
Transact your business in a safe environment. Because we have sustained the security, what remains now is enhancing so that we can achieve our desired results. And our desired result is safety of the coast.
And moving on is the government has begun preparations for the upcoming Jamhuri Day celebrations that are set for Thursday next week. Interior National Administration Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo said the preparations were underway at the Uhuru Gardens along Langata Road. The National Celebrations Committee consists of PS Interior Raymond Omolo and senior officers of the Kenya Defence Forces, among others. Normalcy has returned to Kenyatta University Referral Hospital after health workers and other staff had gone on strike. The complainants claim the hospital board has interfered in the management of KU Hospital and caused a standstill in operations. The strike was called off a day after President William Ruto dissolved the board and accepted the resignation of Professor Olive Mugende as the hospital's board chairperson. The hospital's acting chief executive officer, Dr. Zainab Gura, has promised to address all challenges facing the staff. While operations are returning to KU, health services continue to be affected in Machakos County.
We are currently doing 56 days of doctor strike in Machakos, and the issues are issues that we usually engage the county government, but we find no response, and we continue to really sympathize with our patients. We see our patients suffering as they walk into the hospital, they look for various services, and these services are unavailable. We are willing to serve these patients. We've had stories of we will promote you tomorrow. We've had stories of we'll promote promote you next year, and so on and so forth for the last 2 years. To add insult to injury, now we have a situation whereby the county government is hell-bent on withholding salaries that we know were budgeted from national government. We have seen the county government holding on to these salaries, and we highly suspect that the intention is to divert some of this money.
Afadhalini madaktari, hakuna mtu akona vita, hakuna mtu anataka kufuta mtu, tunataka kufanyia watu ya Machakos kazi, na nyinyi ni watu wa muhimu kwa kaunti yetu. Tunawaomba murudi kazi, tuelewane.
That's the news wire. I'm Leah Obaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
At a few minutes after 8 o'clock, traffic still continues in the city this morning, and we're looking at some of that building. The Thika Superhighway this morning, very busy traffic, and this is well beyond the junction going towards Outer Ring. Outer Ring itself, very busy, then feeding onto the Thika Superhighway, coming in from Githurai all the way through past Kasarani into the city today. Also, then getting on to the Pangani Underpass from Survey, very busy. Kiambu Road also started off from the jump with quite some traffic. We're looking at traffic coming off from Gong Road. Langata Road as well is pretty busy. And then Mombasa Road, as you get towards and past Capital Centre out towards Uhuru Highway, has also built up significantly with traffic. We are in traffic hour. Jogo Road leading towards Landis and then out towards the Kamkunji roundabout, equally as busy. It's busy coming off of the Cabanas interchange onto Mombasa Road in that area as well. The Eastern Bypass busy with traffic coming off of Outer Ring as well through Embakasi. Well, if you're looking for where there's no traffic this morning, try the Southern Bypass. You'll get into the city with no problem whatsoever. We're keeping an eye on all of this morning. Help us out here as we keep things moving. We'll talk on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
The only way to start your day at 7 minutes after 8 o'clock. We're into the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation this Thursday. The first and maybe the second of the week. The last of the week. Good morning to you and welcome. Also, our audiences. Our live streams are up on YouTube, on Facebook. Karibuni sana. We get into maybe a learning conversation this hour. And our guest this morning is seated. Professor Kivuda Kibwana has been here before, former governor of Makueni County, but also an academic, and is our guest this hour. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning. I'm really very happy to be in the Situation Room. Mm-hmm. I hope I won't be situated.
Well, of things that we can promise are few and far between, but we're very happy that you're here this morning, and there are a number of things I want to share with you today. And I don't know how often you fly, you know.
Well, not as much as I used to fly when I was a minister, when I was a governor. Mm-hmm. I fly a little.
So now when you do, CT has the people that you know you need to fly with telling you.
Especially now, when you do have to travel and you don't travel as much as you used to, it's really important that you travel in comfort. It's important that when you land at your destination, you are even fresher than when you started your journey. And that your mind is at ease and that you are adequately prepared for whatever it is that has taken you to your destination. Now, this is what Emirates business class promises you. Oh. Even before you board the plane, the limousine service that takes you to the airport, when you board the plane, what do you need? You need refreshment, it'll be provided for. You need a drink, you need to rest. Do you need to actually sleep? A bed will be provided for. In order that you sleep in comfort, pajamas will be provided for. When you've rested and you want to work, there is Wi-Fi. If you are the sort of person who likes to watch movies or watch sports, you will have more channels than you can imagine. If you want to go to a lounge within the plane where you can sit and chat with the people as you have a drink, it will be made possible for you. That is what Emirates business class promises you.
Oh, that's like just being at home as you fly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's great. So if I travel soon,
yes,
then I think I'll consider them.
I recommend it highly.
And if you're on the ground, you can imagine a situation where you can take your entertainment with you. Showmax offers this festive season an opportunity for you to take your I know you watch TV. You must at some point, Prof. You know. Showmax Entertainment, if you get onto the website www.showmax.com, you will find a wealth of entertainment options that are there for you, from movies to documentaries to series, local productions, par excellence. And what Showmax says is, for as little as 300 shillings a month, you can actually get onto this entertainment platform and you can watch on the go. Gone are the days where you have to sit in front of the TV domiciled in one space and watch. You can actually watch on the go. When you travel from here to there, you can actually take your entertainment with you. And Showmax says, log on, register, pay, and watch this festive season. Shika Showmax.
Okay.
Fantastic? Yes.
I like gospel music a lot, so I think I can get involved.
Well, there you go. Mm-hmm. There's something, and that's the thing, that there's something for everybody. Mm-hmm. And so it's great to experience. All right. As you know, as we start the show every hour, we look at proverbs from the African continent. CT goes around mining proverbs, and then he will give us his proverb for this hour. Tell us what you think about it, what it means to you, and how you would interpret that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We are in the Republic. No, let me start again. We're the People's Republic of Mozambique. And the proverb is a simple one. A reflection cannot see itself.
That's very deep. Because sometimes when, as human beings, we are doing things and maybe we are not doing them right, we may not ourselves appreciate so. Mm-hmm. Because it's not easy to countenance yourself and be able to say, this is not right, this is wrong. And even when people tell you, especially when politicians are told, they are in denial. So I think it's you allow others to really tell you what they think about you, what is wrong, what you can correct. I think that's a very deep proverb.
Thank you.
Well, there you go.
Yes, there you go.
So there's a reflection of society. I guess maybe we can start off with, recently we saw that, you've maybe changed hats a little bit. What have you been up to, Prof?
Many things. Many things, and particularly in the youth space. I recently teach at Daystar University. Waiting for a master's program so that I can get involved in that. Beginning of next year, I listen to what young people are saying in these X spaces. Sometimes I sit down with them and I want to know, what they're doing, what they're up to. I talk a lot to many fora. I do a bit of research because when I was in politics, it was not easy to research the things that I really like elections, devolution, constitutional law, anti-corruption issues, many things. Mm-hmm. So actually, I'm beginning to wonder whether my life is not even more full than it was when I was in politics.
Yeah.
That kind of worries me sometimes.
But why should it? And it's something that you have chosen. I mean, it's not as though you didn't choose politics.
Yes.
But let me perhaps take a few steps back.
Yes.
A university professor.
Yes.
Then an activist in change.
Yes.
Then gets into politics.
Yes.
Is this how you had planned your life? Is this how you had seen your life evolving?
Not really. I don't think that we can be able to quote mechanically plan our lives. Some things happen. For example, I didn't really want to be a governor. I thought I was going to be chair of the Commission on the Implementation of the Constitution. But those days, to get that position, there was to be concurrence between Honorable Raila Odinga and President Kibaki. And although I think I did reasonably well in the interview, there wasn't that concurrence. So then President Kibaki, after we kind of now talked, he told me, okay, it looks like that didn't work. And that's when I thought about being governor. So actually I became member of parliament because I thought the constitution at that juncture had reached the point where the decision was going to be made in parliament. So I was kind of following the constitution from my civil society and the leadership of NCC.
You wanted to be, should we say, in the room when these important matters were actually being discussed.
Yes.
And you wanted your voice to be registered in that group. So you hadn't planned to be an MP, not really?
It was not. It was not quite intentional because it was still the same stream of following the constitution, so that as I thought it was going to be concluded, I would be part of that exercise. But then from 2002-03 to 2010, it took a long time.
These things take a long time. So the focus was the constitution, and you were looking at the direction the entire process was taken and what needed to be done where, and you examined what you thought the contribution and that of the group and the voices that you represented would be, and so you took yourself in that direction.
That's correct.
Okay. Would I be right in then calling you an accidental politician?
Well, I think from a secular point of view, yes. But God plans things for people. So I think somehow God planned that I would make that journey.
And at every stage, you got the impression he had prepared you for it by what it is that had preceded what you're doing.
Precisely. But of course, you also prepare yourself. You try to prepare yourself when you get into an assignment. Like I would imagine, when you come to Situation Room, you must prepare yourself for all manner of people who would come before you.
I asked the question because now that you are working with young people, that is actually the point of my question.
Yes.
Would you be of the opinion that everything that has preceded what you are now doing has been worthwhile and has given you a pivotal point from which you can address the matters that will arise from the position that you are now in?
Yes. Actually, let me even add another little point.
Yes.
When now I realized that I was going to kind of be a governor, I also went to theology school for about 3 years for a master's because I thought I wanted to do even now governance at that level differently.
Yes.
So that for me, it was ministry. So, God helps you to prepare in places he takes you, I believe. But also, the question you have directly asked, I started teaching at the University of Nairobi as a lecturer at 23. And even those days, some of the students were older than I was.
In those days,
and even I would see the girls eyeing me.
Wondering if you know what you're doing.
But I was a responsible teacher. So from that time, therefore, you're with youth.
Yes.
You're one of them.
Yes.
And you're teaching. So in that space, you learn a lot. And you empathize. Then, even within civil society, that was also a time to mentor, the young people who are in that space. I'm also fortunate because most of the senior lawyers in this country, whether it's in the Supreme Court, where, most of them, actually, I think most of them, if not all of them, were my students, even the attorney generals and so on. So, I had time not just to teach, but to mentor and to be with the young people to discuss and so on, because I thought you just don't teach the book. You teach more than the book.
Yeah.
So again, when, I worked for President Kibaki as his advisor, I was an advisor for constitutional, parliamentary, and youth affairs. The first youth ministry under his watch were issues we discussed and thought that there was necessity for such a ministry, and I think the first minister was Kuti. Again, when I come to be governor in Makueni, I'm very much interested in continuing to work with young people, address youth issues, so that becomes important for me. And even in terms of research, the minor research, not deep research, because as I said, as a politician, it was not always easy. But also when I wrote in the media, in the papers, I wrote several, articles on this particular question, continue to give talks on this particular question. So it's something dear to my heart because I believe without a focus on young people on the continent, actually we are going nowhere.
It's interesting because there's been a lot of youth-centered political drive over the last 4 months. And of course, we can't run away from the happenings, especially with the protests, which were largely, younger minds coming into the political arena. Many are already saying that it was not a time, there has not been a time where there has been so much youth-centric focus on the country's politics. How would you see that direction is going today? I mean, there is no question that there probably will come about political change in the next few years. But what trajectory is it taking, and is it going down a proper path?
Well, I think actually in not only Africa, but a lot of the world, fundamental change is normally instigated by young people. Whether you're talking about China, when there was the Tiananmen Square, whether you're talking about the Arab Spring, even in our own country, most of the people who fought for Mau Mau, Dedan Kimathi and company, were very young people in their 20s, mostly in their 30s. When you look at even Kibaki, Matiba, as they come into positions at independence, they were in their 30s. Even ministers at their 30s. So that tells you that young people in the Mau Mau movement, even in the 90s, the people who were at the forefront of agitating for the constitution were also, young people. And as even now, this third wave of pushing for change in the country, again, it is decidedly being led by very young people. In a way, one can say it was kind of spontaneous. You couldn't see it coming. Of course, there were the rumbles. There were, people saying that everything is going south. Everything is not right. But the way in which this uprising, sometimes others call it revolution, manifested itself, it was unexpected, so that even the powers that be, were caught pants down. Now, of course, the young people themselves may not have been very prepared. Sometimes you do something in life and you say, wow, is this me? Is this me? And some of them began to kind of feel that, so we are here. We can do things. And you get a group that does not know the ways of the political people, the senior people, and they begin to get kind of compromised. But the others call them out, so that when you get compromised, you are called out, and you are they cancel you. You are cancelled. But I think that what happened, if it is not addressed in terms of the root issues, I don't think we have heard the end of the story. And I have seen them trying to do some civic education, going out there in the X spaces, even going physically to many places in the country, doing their civic education. Some of them are saying that they really want to become leaders from MCA up to president, which I think is a good thing. Of course, the political parties in Kenya are properties of people, and when you go into them, you have to be admitted, and you have to be told that here there is a culture, there is what we do, and so if you want to come here, you must be of good behavior. And of course, you are taught bad behavior.
By those who are in the system already.
Those who are in the systems already, most of those parties. So I would imagine that the young people would have to look for their own political formations. Of course, others might go into the formations that exist, but I think it will be a question, and I can see a bit of that forming of those people who really want different to kind of come together, those young people, and I think they may be discussing those issues. And if generation Z, millennials, those two, and X, and then other people who are older like myself can be supporting cast.
You talk about if you want different, then should you do different? That a different kind of leadership then requires a different kind of operation, and hasn't that been the cry, especially that we've seen it compacted over the last couple of months, that those who might want to be in leadership in the future and are younger, that they want to see things done differently. But then there was always this prescription that said, no, you must have a leader. You can't just be, all over the place. You have to have some kind of structure. And if you want to be a movement that is going to make some kind of change or some kind of difference, you're going to have to do it the way it's always been done. And so they won't resonate with this, because they say in order to be different, you must do different. But they're being asked to do it the same way that it's been done over time.
If you do the same way, you will get the same bad results.
Right.
And actually, when I came here, I was even preparing to also, give a quote because I knew there was going to be a proverb, and I was going to have a quote to, to say.
Why don't you proceed with your quote?
To say,
yes.
And this is Edmund Buke, actually two short quotes. Tell me what are the prevailing sentiments that occupy the minds of your young men and women, and I will tell you what is to be the character of the next generation. And I'm believing that the young people now who are rising up in Kenya, on the continent, their character will be different, just what you asked. And the Sister Katerina Kagia says, to lose one's youth is to have lost the most valuable thing in life. And I believe so. I believe youth is very precious. I believe it's a formative period. I believe if you invest well in that youth, in your youthful life, then you can be of good benefit to your society, of course, yourself, family, society. And again, to answer your question even more directly, there is the ex-founder of Visa International, D-Hawk. And when he's defining leadership, it's very interesting. He says, the very heart and soul of the matter of leadership, if you seek to be a leader, invest 50% of your time leading yourself, your own purpose, ethics, principles, motivation, and conduct. And then you invest something which is very interesting and not easy, 20% leading those with authority over you, and another 15% leading your peers, and then 15% leading what you believe is your followership, so that they can do exactly, what I have said before. So I think one of the most important things that the Kenyan youth, the young people, these people want to do things differently must do, it is that introspection, really asking, how how are we going to be different?
Yeah.
What are the values required? What is the ethical foundation required? What is the discipline required? What is the sincerity required? So that you begin to make that movement, not a frail movement, but something that is, real, something that is maybe happening in West Africa, although, of course, sometimes when militaries come onto the scene, people don't think that's democracy, but you can see some new ideas. So I think if young people rely on the existing structures, and I think I was a bit, yesterday I attended Kenya Human Rights Commission 30 years. And Professor Makau, was like advising that human rights activists and, these young people, should make a lot of conversation with the existing, leadership and all that kind of stuff. I was not sure,
whether that was the way to go.
I was not sure whether that was the way to go. But, Makau was my student. We went also to school together at Harvard, and he's a very senior lawyer. But I think one has to be careful not to tell youth to go to places where they are going to be corrupted. So they have to find their path.
They do have to find their path. We'll take a break at this point, but then also come back because there have been movements which for some reason already seem to have started to fall apart. And that if there's a position of leadership that has been taken up, that already seems to be losing. I mean, we see this in society today. So we'll come back and discuss with that. Professor Kivuda Kibwana is our guest this hour. And we are looking at, all right, youth in politics going into the future. What does that actually look like? And we'll come back and continue that conversation.